What's up, nerds? Welcome back. Today I'm talking about King Spawn number 3, where we finally see Spawn take on Billy Kincaid. So if you remember what's going on, and if you don't, I'll just give you the basic rundown real quick. Basically, what's going on right now with this whole Spawn thing is that Billy Kincaid has come back again, and that he's started like a cult type of thing called Psalms, what was it, 137, I think? Yeah, Psalms 137. So he's like started this cult type of thing, and they also like worship Spawn as their like king, and that is their mission to get him to accept that. But I get the feeling there's obviously something, more sinister going on. So we start out with this where we see Spawn talking to Terry, because if you remember, he's gotten Terry to, who's like his ex-wife's new husband, although she's dead now, so it doesn't really matter. They used to also be friends and everything, so he's gotten him to like help him out with this whole mission, and they're kind of standing around looking at the clues and evidence, trying to like track it all down. And then at some point, like Terry's basically letting on that Spawn is keeping something from him, so he's like telling him like, I'm fucking asking, where's Cyan? Why won't you tell me? Because you're some superhero with dark secrets? Well, you're just Al Simmons to me. Same corpse I saw back in the jungle. So this is where like he just slaps him across the room and shit. And then he's like, look at you, like you're pathetic and all this shit. And he's telling him like, or do you just like going to war and don't care who it hurts? And this is when he has like his demonic moment where he's like, I like war. So Terry's just there and he's like, look at you. Like, yeah, that's where he says, like, you're pathetic. And then this is where Spawn just kind of gives everyone, like, the basic rundown of his, like, origin or whatever. He used to kill for the government, and then when they decided they didn't need him anymore and he wasn't going to, like, play along anymore, then they just had him killed, and then, the whole thing. And you know how they tried to get me in line, do you? They killed Wanda. We both lost a wife because of them. And they'll kill Cyan too if they find her. That's not going to happen. This is a war, and if you want to try stopping what they're doing, then get mad, but direct it at them. They're your enemy. So that's when they get interrupted, because this is where the team has found out that apparently Psalms 137 is conducting like kidnappings of like kids and shit in different like different parts of the world. So immediately, of course, Spawn like starts putting an action plan into place where he's like telling because they also find out that one of the things that they have found was the ice cream truck that Billy Kincaid used to drive. So he already knows that that's who it is. And then Jessica's asking him, like, well, how did you know? And he's like, doesn't matter, go on. So she says, Mark also discovered another spawn, a feral spawn, in Russia. It's causing riots to break out over there. And I think they chose that very specifically because if you can see from the picture, that's that group from Russia, Pussy Riot, those like feminists or whatever. So we see them on there, and he's like saying, I'll deal with that later. Jessica, find medieval spawn for me. I need you in Uganda, and he's going to Canada. Remember, these crazies, they'll go for the kids. Protect them, kill everything else. So she's asking like, well, what about you? He says, I'm going to kill an old friend. And then that's where he tells Terry, like, back in the day, you were good on the radio. I need you to keep us connected and run the show. Think you can do that? Because they won't be returning back here again. So he's like, all right, yeah, sure, just like old times. And then they all just kind of, like, take off to go do what they're going to do, leaving Terry there by himself. So Spawn shows up to the house where he's going to be confronting Billy, and as soon as he's coming out, like, we get the internal monologue talking about how, like, these rich people, they have so much money, they don't really have any problems, so, like, just using and abusing children is just kind of, it's just a game to them, they really don't care. So this is when he's pulling up, and like the bodyguards or whatever see him, and they're like, he's here, like Kincaid said, get the necroplasm. So he says even their guards at their clubhouse are dressed in tuxedos. That's how high they think of themselves. So he's like running up on them saying like, you protect these monsters for what, money? That's it? That's all it takes to be blind is money? So of course he's like, he immediately starts attacking them. And then he kind of leaves them there, but he tells them as he's walking in, like, you better just hope that when I'm done here, that I don't come back and, like, give them your kids. So he leaves them there, and it says, rage has now consumed Spawn. The main foyer is suspiciously empty, though the soft din of laughter reverberates. Is that the sound of a party, Spawn wonders? One where even gunshots don't startle the guests? In the mansion's bowels, he follows another strange rhythmic sound, made by the tapping of a child, whom Spawn recognizes from his photo. The photo from all the children who died in the school blast. So we can see the kid like is sitting there on the floor playing with the crown and shit as he's surrounded by all of these people. And so Spawn walks into the room and he's basically saying like, I'm going to get revenge on all of these assholes because the kid asks him like, or says to him, I know you. You watched my mom bury me. Are you here to call me a miracle too? And he's like, no, I'm not. So they all kind of turn around and one of them says like, the king, he's here. And he just says, I'm here to avenge your death as he's looking all menacing and shit. So, of course, he does exactly that. He starts just attacking all of the adults that are in the room with his chains and shit. Just, like, starts killing all of them, saying, like, you know, you've been torturing and killing children and shit. Like, they were kids. So, he attacks them for that, and then it says, with the force of a hurricane, he attacks them, not caring whether they're human or something else. It doesn't matter, as all of them are willingly complicit in the act of slaughtering children. And there's no amount of pain or punishment he can deliver on them that will atone for their unspeakable devotion to that slaughtering. So, the kid is over there, like, just really happy, because apparently the kid is trying to get someone to put on this crown and shit. Anyway, we go over to Jessica, where she's in Uganda. She's talking about, like, yeah, we're encountering, like, heavy resistance and shit. And then we see the same thing with Medieval Spawn, where he's in Canada, and, like, he rips off this door to this ice cream truck, but then all of a sudden, like, there's a suicide bomber, so immediately Terry's just like, oh shit, like, we've lost communication with Medieval Spawn, so we don't actually know, like, is he alive or not? I'm pretty sure he is, but he's probably just, like, wounded or something. So we go back over to regular Spawn, and he starts calling out to, like, Billy Kincaid and shit. And then he's, like, saying, show yourself. And then Terry, who's still listening to him, says Terry cuts his own audio, knowing any distraction could get his friend killed. So he's just like, I hope you know what you're doing, Al. And it says, as his enemy emerges, Spawn knows things will be harder this time around. And we can see this thing where Billy just kind of looks like, you know, have you ever seen, like, a fat dude go to jail? And then when he comes out, he's still pretty fat, but he's also put on a bunch of muscle. They usually shave their heads, and then they also get, like, a bunch of prison tattoos. That's kind of how Billy's looking right now. So it's saying, he's telling him, like, the Lord once told us, assemble the people to hear my words so they may learn to fear me for all eternity. And that fear, dear Spawn, is the thing I feed them so they will obey everything I say. So kill them all if you want. I'll find more, but the boy, he's mine. So it says, Billy Kincaid was human the first time these two battled. It wasn't much of a fight, but something or someone has made him stronger, taking all his sadistic evil and built him into some kind of demonic beast that takes joy in the pain of others. So, I mean, yeah, that was their first meeting when Billy was still just, you know, a human pedophile and, like, Spawn killed him and shit. The next time they met was actually in Hell when Billy had been granted, like, some of the same powers as Spawn, even had, like, a suit that looked the same, but he still died pretty quickly, so anyway, this time, as they've mentioned, it's going to be a much harder fight, as we can see, because he immediately just knocks the shit out of Spawn. So that sends him flying, and then the kid is asking Billy, like, is he going to save me? He says, no, he's here to destroy you and everything else in the world. And the kid looks up at him looking all creepy and shit. He's like, but you can save me, right? So he just tells him, like, yes, I'll stop him. Just like he stopped your soul from leaving because the portals to heaven and hell are closed. Closed by him. So he continues just laying the damn smackdown on Spawn, like, the entire time. And then he's also kind of just talking to him. He says he's the reason for Psalms 137. His power kills children with ease. He can even kill you, sweet Simon. I won't let him. You and all children belong to me. Only one of us can be your master. I need your souls, not him, because I don't have any left. I gave them away for my freedom, so I could come here. The one that freed me, who transformed me, said this hellspawn would try taking you from me. He'd try taking all of you. So, like, we could see where he's actually getting pretty close to doing something. But then it says that Spawn kind of, like, starts reaching out with, like, his tendrils and shit. Starts covering Billy with the suit, with the symbiote and shit. And then he kind of, like, reaches inside of him. And then he inserts himself into him so that he ends up splitting out of Billy and shit just like this. So you would think, like, okay, threat neutralized. Like, he's dead now, right? So Spawn looks over at the kid and he's like, Simon, who we can see, he's got the crown, he's just putting it on, like, random dismembered heads and shit. So, like, again, Spawn is thinking, okay, we're done here, I need to just get the kid out of here. He says, we have to leave, Simon, I need you to come with me. Would that be okay? And he says, he said you wanted to hurt me. He's like, I know, but I'm not going to. Bad people like telling lies. He was one of those people. And then Simon says, "That why you hurt him?" He says, "Yes, and because of what he did to you." So Simon says, "You want to try on my crown?" He says, "Maybe later." But then this is where Billy gets up and he's like, "You heard the boy," and he grabs one of Spawn's chains and just like shoves his face into, I'm assuming, a wall. And then he immediately tells him, like, put on his damn crown, and we can see him, even though he's been just, splattered almost in half, almost fucking vivisected, he's not really slowed down all that much by it. So this is where the kid put the crown on Spawn's head. He's like, "Oh my god, like, yes, it fits." And the one thing is, I will have to note on here, Spawn actually looks kind of happy. Like, if you look at his mouth, it looks like he's fucking smiling. Like, he's got a big, stupid, like, grin on his face. So I was like, what the hell is that? But yeah, that's where we leave off on that for right now. And I mean, I don't really know where exactly this is going. I didn't see that whole thing coming. I kind of thought, like, okay, he's going to kill Billy in some sort of way. But I didn't see Billy getting right back up and then looking this gross and still being able to carry on. Like, I would imagine if he were going to be able to keep going, it would be, he would first have to, like, pull himself back together through some magic means. But apparently, no, he doesn't even need to do that. He can just get back up and become some sort of nightmare monster. So, I mean, pretty interesting. We'll see how this continues to play out. I mean, this issue, I think, was handled a little bit better than at least the second issue. The first issue wasn't so bad. This issue, I mean, the second issue was, it was okay. And this one was a little bit better. So it kind of seems like this series might be a little bit of like peaks and valleys. You know what I mean? We're going to go up and down with it. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. But I mean, it seems interesting enough. I like that they're having like this whole team dynamic. And then I guess they haven't watched enough TV and movies to know, like, you never let them split you up. That's just the way for them to pick you off one by one, which seems to be the case here. So, I don't know. We'll see if they're able to overcome that. If they might be able to, I'd imagine. I just get the feeling it's going to get worse before it gets better. Not in, like, a narrative type of way, like the way that the story is supposed to go. Like, obviously, things have to get worse for them before they figure out, like, okay, how do we fix the problem? So, I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be seeing happening here. I do want to know what this whole thing is with them, like, wanting Spawn as a king. Like, is there some significance to that? I'd imagine there probably is. Like, him being king, does that mean they're gonna, like, sacrifice him or something, you know? Like, I get the feeling it'll probably be something along those lines, but we'll have to wait and see and find out. So, I don't know if anybody else out there is keeping up with this series. If so, do feel free to let me know, because it looks like issue 4 is coming out in November, so we'll see what happens whenever that next issue comes out. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on this series, do feel free to share them with me down below in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, then definitely like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Share the video out if you would like. I appreciate that so very much. But if you're done here, then go and read a book, possibly this one. And if not, then I'll see you on my next video.